Let me thank the Speaker, the Minority Leader, the Majority Leader, not the Minority Leader anymore, the Majority Leader. We're glad the Minority Leader is the Minority Leader, though, aren't we? Henry, let me thank you for letting us do this in the Pipe Fitters Hall. We're very proud of our relationship with the House of Labor, and that relationship is stronger than it has ever been. And one of the great things about a Democratic victory in 2009 is that working people will count in this country again at the highest levels of government, and that is the way it should be. And I also want to thank someone who's not here, but who I think may be on his way, and that is Governor Ritter. What a great win. What a great win you all have. And it was a really important win, because you're doing great things for the people of Colorado, but you've also pointed the way for the rest of the country. The truth is, the road to the White House in 2008 leads through the West, and it leads through Denver, Colorado. And I am delighted to be here raising a little money for the Democratic Party of Colorado so you can go out and elect more representatives so that Andrew has a bigger majority, so that Kerry will get elected again in 2010, and we will continue to have the Democrats run things. And why is that? This is not about the Democratic Party. This is about the country. And this is about our children, our grandchildren. This is about Colorado. There has been an incredible disconnect in the Republican Party between talking about values and actually practicing them. And I thought that Alice Madden was exactly right on when she talked about talking from the heart. We have had a lot to learn as Democrats in the 12 years we spent in the wilderness between 1994 and 2006. It was painful, and our first reaction was to try to be like the Republicans and win that way. If they're winning, then if we're like them, then maybe we can win by being like them. And then our second reaction was to withdraw from all the places we couldn't win and put the resources someplace we thought we could. If we could only win 50% of the electoral votes plus one, maybe we'd win the presidency. The trouble is, if you're off by 2, you don't do so well. And the third reaction was to listen to professional pollsters and political consultants telling you to run away from your values and don't dare stand up for what you believe in, because the people didn't agree with us. The truth is, the people do agree with us. And I'll tell you what Democratic core values are, and I bet these go over pretty well in Colorado. The first one is fairness. People want us to be fair again, and they know the other guys aren't fair. That fairness is a system, an economic system and a government system that works for everybody, not just a few people, not just the president's friends. Well, the president, when he was campaigning for other folks' re-election, in Nebraska and Idaho, because he was having a little trouble in Colorado and places like that. Well, I loved it when he had to come out here to try to save Marilyn Musgrave. Because that means he wasn't saving anybody in Ohio and Michigan and places like that. If you can fight on somebody else's turf, you're always winning. Defense in politics is very bad business. Never play defense in politics. If you play defense in politics, you're losing. You're always playing on their turf. And we have had our last battle in Michigan and Ohio. Our battle is going to be in Nebraska and Idaho and places like that. And we're going to pick up seats in Nebraska. One of the things the president kept saying is the economy is really good. The economy is really good. If you look at the numbers on Wall Street, the economy is really good. It's great. The trouble is it only affects 20% of the American people. The average wage in this country was stagnant between 2000 and 2006 under the Republican administration. The Republicans, who are supposed to be so good at managing the economy, couldn't figure out that 80% of Americans were losing their health insurance, working twice as hard for the same amount of money, and having a tougher and tougher time getting their kids through college. We can do better on the Democratic side because we believe that everybody ought to be included in the American dream. The American dream is good enough for all of us. This is an incredible coincidence. I I was about to say something even nicer about Governor Ritter. First, I want to say something nice about Pat Walker. When she said about expanding the pie and having 64 county strategy, that's exactly the right thing. And in fact, Governor Ritter expanded the pie and he won 10 more counties in the last election that had not been won by Democrats in years and years and years. That is how we do it. So, the lesson from Colorado is a lesson for the whole country. If you ask for people's votes, sometimes you're going to get something. And if you ask for people who haven't voted for you for a long time, if you ask for their vote, sometimes you're going to get something. But it helps to have the other side convincing people that that's not a very good investment to vote for them, so maybe you ought to think about voting Democratic now, because the other guys don't seem to be able to deliver anything they say. But if you asking for people's votes is something that's important for two reasons. The biggest mistake of many, many that the President and the Republicans have made is that the President decided he only wanted to be the President of half of America. And he dismissed everybody else. He wouldn't work with not just Democrats, but he wouldn't work with anybody who disagreed with him. He wouldn't work with Mexico on immigration because Mexico didn't vote the way he wanted them to on Iraq. He wouldn't work with the French and the Germans on what to do in the Middle East because they disagreed with him on the war in Iraq. If you disagreed with the President, then you were a bad person. The reason Bill Ritter is a great governor and has great numbers to prove it is because he asked every single person from Colorado, no matter whether they were right, left, or center, to consider voting for him. Asking for people's votes is a mark of respect. And conveying the fact that you respect the voters is something that you can't replace. And even if they don't vote for you, when you get in there, you've got to govern everybody. And that's what the Democrats are doing now. We reached out to evangelical Christians in the last election. And you know what? We got 10% more votes. We went from 19 to 29. Now, Bill Clinton used to be at 33. If we get to 33, we're going to start winning in states like Arkansas and Louisiana again. And you know what? We ought to reach out to evangelical Christians, not the kind you have in Colorado Springs, maybe. There's a whole new generation of evangelical Christians that is tired of beating up on gay people and all that kind of stuff. What they want to know is, what are you going to do about what the Bible says about poverty? What are you going to do about including all Americans? What are you going to do about Darfur? What are you going to do about the environment? What are you going to do about global warming? There is common ground the Democrats have with evangelical Christians, and we ought to reach out to evangelical Christians. We want to get something done and stop fighting about the people, about the things that we don't agree on. So the way that we're going to win is not by doing things the way things used to be done. We have moved this party out of the 30s and out of the 60s, the glory days of the party, into the 21st century. And we are turning America over to the people who are going to inherit it, which is the next generation. The next generation is a lot less confrontational than we are because we had to fight for everything. The Vietnam War and the Civil Rights era and the human rights and women's rights, those things were great achievements. My wife is actually here in Colorado with me, although she's not very political, so she's actually having dinner with my daughter. But, not that she would love to be in pipe fitter, so I'll right this moment. But when she was a senior in high school, I think it's 1970, 71. When she was a senior in high school in 71, they had 2 athletic fields in this suburban New York high school. And they needed to do some repairs on the gymnasium. In order to do that, they had a staging area. So they simply just shut down the girls' playing field and didn't have any women's sports for that year. We remember those times. Those were hard things to overcome. And we had to be confrontational. But the new generation is different.